24 hours every day. News from Breakneck to Montauk. News 12, Long Island.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Roger Stern. In our News 12 headlines today, did the fast food bandits strike again, this time in Wantagh? We'll look into that question. And an environmental study of the Long Island Sound is facing several federal cuts. Some scientists and local officials are not happy about the proposal.
Hello, everyone. I'm Roma Torre. Marilyn Scherer has the day off. We also have these stories for you. A convoy of reflagged Kuwaiti tankers and Navy warships is continuing on its journey through the troubled Persian Gulf. And here at home, a very expensive prize for anyone getting a hole-in-one at a local golf tournament. The lucky shooter gets a Rolls-Royce. All that, plus Mike Zimmett and sports, as well as Norm Dvoskin and the weather. Well, for a few frightening moments on Saturday evening, two motorists may have thought North Plandome Road had become a Los Angeles freeway. The two motorists were hit by pellets from a BB gun as they were driving in Plandome. As everyone knows, Los Angeles freeways have seen a rash of shootings recently. But this incident does not seem to be a copy of the LA freeway violence. And Nassau police have made two arrests. 17-year-old Douglas Hamilton and 18-year-old Sean O'Connor, both of Manhasset, were charged with reckless endangerment and criminal mischief. Neither motorist was seriously injured.
And in Kings Park, a 76-year-old woman was raped in her home early this morning, that according to Suffolk police. The woman, who is a widow, left her interior door open because of the heat, and at about 1:30 in the morning, she discovered an unknown man was in the house. The intruder fled only after the woman began screaming. Police believe the suspect entered the house by cutting through a screen in the front door. The woman was treated and released at Stony Brook University Hospital. The three men arrested in connection with the shooting death of a Hempstead man were arraigned today. Thomas Muniz and Victor Roman were charged with second-degree murder in the death of Henry Olivia outside Speaks in Island Park Dance Club. A third man, Raymond Torres, was charged with reckless endangerment. The three suspects, who are all from Brooklyn, reportedly had an argument with a group Olivia was with. He was trying to be the peacemaker when he was shot.
And the latest convoy should reach Kuwait early tomorrow. The three U.S.-flagged Kuwaiti tankers and their American escort are moving single file through the hazardous waters of the northern Persian Gulf. An earlier convoy passed near Farsi Island where the supertanker Bridgeton hit a mine, and it's unlikely the new convoy will sail close to the island. Meanwhile, Iran's prime minister is warning that the Gulf will continue to be mined as long as the U.S. and other foreign powers remain in the area. And another Iranian official is threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz, the entrance to the Gulf, if its oil tankers are ever denied use of the waterway.
Well, we all know about the original Carter-Iran rescue mission, but now there's word that in 1985 there was another bold plan in the works to rescue American hostages in Lebanon. The Washington Post now reports that the U.S. and Israel had intended to free the Americans if the arms sale to Iran didn't work out. But the operation was called off. It seems the rescue team couldn't find the hostages.
Mayor Koch is home in Gracie Mansion tonight. He had been hospitalized in Manhattan after suffering what doctors call a very minor stroke. Right now, Koch is in excellent condition, and those doctors say the chances of a recurrence are very small. He could be back at work later in the week. And coming up, Norm Dvoskin takes a look at the weather as the weekend winds down. And bad news for folks trying to clean up Long Island Sound straight ahead.
Hello, everyone. Join us Monday for News 12 Long Island.
Peer pressure that too much sun can at some time in our lives.
Families are moving closer.
Nassau and Suffolk detectives who are already investigating a possible connection between several fast...
Any or all of the cases are connected, but at this point that still seems unclear.
Thanks, Susan. Well, now it's time for the weather with Norm Dvoskin. And Norm, how's it going to look this weekend? We've had a rash of really nice weather.
Well, we've had some good weather, but Sunday wasn't as bad as I really thought it was going to be. We had what I would call Chinese weather, dim sun around Long Island today. On your 5-day outlook. Roma, Roger?
I remember Hurricane Bell. It did not do anywhere near the damage they were afraid it might. I was on the North Shore, and it came and went and was over before you knew it.
Right, it fizzled because of the cold waters. My recollection of Hurricane Bell is, on that evening, a tree had been blown over. When I went out the next morning to tie it up, the wind had shifted around and blew it back into an upright position when the wind shifted around in 180 degrees. So it was, we were lucky with Hurricane Belle.
Okay, Norm DeBosco.
Could have been a lot worse.
Thanks very much. Well, upstate Congressman Joseph Diaguardi is...
The cleanup in Chile continues. As we told you yesterday, a strong earthquake measuring 6.6 on the Richter scale shook the northern part of that country on Saturday. At least 6 people were killed and thousands were injured, and the casualty count is expected to rise as reports come in from remote areas around the country. Residents of the northern Chile city of Arica say the streets shook for 2 minutes as tremors brought down buildings and cut electricity. In Melbourne, Australia, a man apparently drunk put on a military-style clothing, picked up a shotgun and rifle, and set out on a murderous rampage. When it was over, 6 people were dead and 16 others wounded. The killer is in custody right now. It's not clear if he's a member of the armed forces.
It seems barely a day goes by without us reporting on
2,500-year-old set of values.
The Long Beach City Council has enacted an ordinance forcing convenience stores to close between the hours of 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. Enforcement of the ordinance begins tomorrow, and violators face fines of up to $250 a day. News 12's Alan Gerstel has more.
Situated on Long Beach Boulevard in the heart of the city, this 7-Eleven is a island.
The hot topic at the American Bar.
About 200,000 black miners are getting ready to walk off their jobs at South African coal and gold mines. They want more pay and better working conditions. It would be the largest legal strike in that country's history, and the Congress of South African Trade Unions is warning the government not to interfere, or it could pull sympathy strikes in other industries. 2 bombs blew up in central Londonderry, Northern Ireland today, injuring several people. This follows a weekend of violence in Belfast where young men tossed Molotov cocktails and homemade grenades at police stations and cars. They also lit bonfires on roads. IRA members and sympathizers were protesting a now-abandoned policy by the British government of interning suspected terrorists in the north. The policy began 16 years ago today, but ended 4 years later because of international criticism. That policy was directed at the IRA, and they demonstrate this time every year.
As it turns out, Pope John Paul is not going to and additional events in the Archdiocese of John Cardinal O'Connor. The Pope will pass through 9 cities on his tour that begins on September 10th.
From increased milk production in cows to enabling plants to produce industrial oil. These are some of the possibilities scientists are looking at for the future as a result of new developments in biotechnology. Gary Carr reports.
It's already possible to increase a cow's milk production up to 40.
Ahead on News 12, a 50-mile run for a very good cause and a Blues Sunday for Yankee and Mets fans. Mike Zimmet has highlights and the rest of today's sports coming up.
Runners from around the metropolitan area had a great chance to take in Long Island's scenic beauties this afternoon. The 2nd annual Long Island Ocean to Sound Relay was run. The course covered 50 miles beginning in Wantagh Park, then heading south through Amityville, north to Huntington and Oyster Bay, before winding south again to the finish line at Eisenhower Park. The run was sponsored by Spiegel Associates in conjunction with the Plainview Old Bethpage Roadrunners Club. Officials say nearly every Long Island running club was represented, as were several from New York City. Proceeds from the event will be donated to Memorial Sloan Kettering and to the hospital for special surgery. The winner in the men's field was the Huntington Super Runners team, while Plainview's Fast Feet was the first women's team to cross the finish line. Roma?
Yesterday, we told you about Jim Dixon, the blind man who wanted to sail across the Atlantic alone. Because of a faulty talking autopilot computer, he decided to return to Nantucket in Massachusetts. But now Dixon is instead headed towards Bermuda, where he hopes to get the talking computer repaired. From there, he'll decide whether to attempt a solo crossing of the Atlantic. And now our solo sports anchor, Mike Zimmet, is here with sports. And Mike, watching those Yankees, it's like a roller coaster. They were on a fast track headed downward today. What happened?
Well, you want to do the rest of the sports? As a matter of fact, the soap opera life of the Yankees continues to...
Okay, Mike Zimmer, thanks very much. And coming up, we'll talk with Long Island parents active in trying to bring a new teenage drug treatment program to Long Island. The program proponents say will have an 80% cure rate, so stay with us.
Factory in the
when planning the
pretty well.
Hazy was the operative adjective for today, and Norm Dvoskin, is the air going to just get cleaned out, and by Monday we're going to see cool, dry, clear air?
That's really the case, but if you keep that up, Roger, you're going to be arrested for impersonating a meteorologist. No, the thing is, it has to get a little bit worse before it gets better. There's a frontal...
Okay, something to look forward to. Thanks very much, Norm. And while the sun was still shining, admittedly through the haze, 88... Susan Watson reports. Well, at last check, the car is still up for grabs, but one golfer did learn the meaning of the word frustration. He came within 18 inches of hitting a hole-in-one.
Tough. Well, still ahead, the Birdman of Minnesota. We'll introduce you to him in a moment. Americans love their pets, animals ranging from dogs and cats to almost every creature under the sun. But as Wendy Lubavitch reports, a Minnesota resident known as the Birdman treats his feathery companions, over 100 of them, as part of the family.
The older birds seem comfortable. I'm Wendy Lubavitch reporting for the News Star Network.
And that's our news for this hour. I'm Roger Stern.
And I'm Roma Torre. Stay tuned as more news continues.
News for and about the people of Long Island. 24 hours every day. News from Breakneck to Montauk. News 12, Long Island.
Hello, everybody. I'm Roger Stern, and these stories are happening on Long Island. Another fast food restaurant is robbed. This time it's a Sizzler in Wantagh. And some heavy cuts in federal funding are in store for an environmental study of the Long Island Sound. We'll have a report.
And hello, everybody. I'm Roma Torre, in for Marilyn Scherer. Also in the News 12 headlines, convenience stores in Long Beach will now have to close down by 11 at night, the result of an ordinance passed by the City Council. And some young ice skaters sharpen their skills and show their stuff at a competition in Hicksville. We've got those stories, plus Mike Zimmet and Sunday Sports, as well as Norm Dvoskin and the weather forecast as we head back to work.
And topping our news this hour, Nassau and Suffolk detectives already investigating a possible connection between...
The three Brooklyn men arrested in connection with the shooting death of a Hempstead man were arraigned Sunday. Thomas Muniz and Victor Roman were charged with second-degree murder in the death of Henry Oliva outside Speaks, an Island Park dance club. A third man, Raymond Torres, was charged with reckless endangerment. The three suspects reportedly had an argument with a group of Oliva's friends. Police say Oliva was attempting to be the peacemaker when he was fatally shot. Because of all the driving Long Islanders do, the stories of the Los Angeles freeway shootings have held a special fascination for us. And on Saturday evening in Plandome, two motorists may have believed the West Coast violence had moved east. The two drivers were hit by pellets from a BB gun as they were driving on Plandome Road. Fortunately, this incident does not seem to be a copy of the LA freeway violence. Nassau police have made two arrests, 17-year-old Douglas Hamilton and 18-year-old Sean O'Connor, both of Manhasset. The two were charged with reckless endangerment and criminal mischief. Neither motorist was seriously injured.
And for those of you who live in Long Beach, if you have a late-night case of the munchies, you won't be able to walk to a convenience
ticket every car driving along the street. And he said he considers the ordinance unconstitutional and that the store's attorneys are looking into the matter. Roma, Roger?
I guess if these convenience stores want to go to court to challenge this law, they better do it quickly.
I would think so. It seems that they're going to put it into effect tomorrow, and according to Givers, he says for now at least they're going to comply until they get word from their attorney otherwise.
I bet you whatever convenience store is closest to the city but outside the borders is going to do one heck of a business.
Extremely well, I would imagine.
Alan Gerstel, thanks very much.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Alan. New York Mayor Ed Koch was released from the hospital Sunday and promised he would go on a diet. Joking with reporters, Koch said, "What you see here is a 28-year-old brain and a 62-year-old body," and he wants to make those numbers closer. The mayor suffered a very mild stroke on Thursday, but doctors say his overall health is excellent. Roger?
Pope John Paul is not going to be visiting our area after all during his 10-day trip to the U.S. through 9.
For the first time, the United States is accusing Iran of planting mines outside Kuwait Harbor. Defense Secretary Weinberger says U.S. forces have destroyed a number of mines, and he promises to keep the waterways safe. The latest convoy of Kuwaiti tankers and U.S. Navy escorts is passing through the Persian Gulf, scheduled to reach Kuwait Harbor sometime Monday. A supertanker in an earlier convoy was hit by a mine planted in the waters off an island controlled by Iranians and was heavily damaged. Iran's prime minister says the Gulf will continue to be mined until the United States and other foreign powers leave the area.
And Roma, the crisis in the Persian Gulf is starting to hurt Americans in their pocketbooks. The price of how much more does it cost to fill up your tank now? Well, according to the Lundberg survey, a leading gasoline trade newsletter, the average price of a gallon of gas is now $1.02. That's up a penny in the past 2 weeks.
6 lives were taken in minutes of madness. It happened in Melbourne, Australia. A man who appeared drunk put on military-style clothing, took a shotgun and rifle, and headed outside. He started shooting at random, and by the time police overpowered him, the 6 victims were dead, and 16 others rushed to the hospital with bullet wounds. Investigators don't know what made him snap without warning. Roger.
2 bombs blew up in central Londonderry, Northern Ireland Sunday, injuring.
The party is calling a proposal to cut back EPA funding for a study of Long Island Sound penny wise and sound foolish. News 12's Lee Tyrell spoke with one Long Island official who agrees and says the outcome of that study could have a serious effect on the quality of life here on Long Island.
That will cruise this down.
Low amounts of dissolved oxygen in the water and the presence of toxic organic chemicals and metals. Engelbright says the funding cutbacks are perhaps the most frustrating for the scientists involved in the research.
And I think with a little bit of expressed indignation and concern that we may see some changes.
And along that line, he plans to introduce a resolution this week that will express some of those concerns. In Setauket, Lee Tyrell, News 12, Long Island.
Well, it's time now for the weather with Norm Dvoskin. And Norm, I felt a few sprinkles coming back from dinner. Does that mean rain is back in the forecast?
Yes, rain is in the forecast. There's lots of scattered showers around Long Island, and we have to get through a period of some pretty damp weather early Monday morning island. For back-to-work day on Monday, we'll have some morning clouds, a few showers around, some leftover showers, then clearing by afternoon. That clearing will be coming from west to east, so some places around eastern Long Island might not get any sun at all tomorrow, or maybe very little sun. High temperature tomorrow, 80 to 85 degrees, 70s along the east, then winds on the water out of the northeast at 10 to 15 knots. I'll be back a little bit later in the broadcast with the 5-day outlook. Roger?
And we'll be waiting for that clearing. Thanks very much, Norm Dvoskin. And there's more to come on News 12. And when we come back, we'll tell you about golfers who are trying to bag An $80,000 Rolls-Royce was up for grabs at the Towers Country Club.
$1 million.
So the Toronto Blue Jays acquired veteran pitcher Phil Niekro from the 10th Pan Am American Games got underway in Indianapolis Sunday. The U.S. came away victorious in several noteworthy events. The U.S. men's basketball team got off to a slow start, but went on to crush Panama 91-63, and the American men's baseball squad rallied to beat Canada 10-6 behind fine relief pitching of Georgia's Chris Carpenter, and Kelly McCormick captured the women's 3-meter springboard diving competition. That's the sports for now. We'll be back in the update with boxing. Here's Roma.
Thanks, Mike. Now it's my turn to do a little sportscasting. The second annual Long Island Ocean to Sound Relay Run took place Sunday, and it attracted runners from around the metropolitan area. The course covered 50 miles, beginning in Wantagh Park, heading south through Amityville, then north to Huntington and Oyster Bay, before winding south again to the finish line in Eisenhower Park. Phew. Spiegel Associates of Hicksville sponsored the run in conjunction with the Plainview Old Bethpage Roadrunners Club. Proceeds from the event will be donated to Memorial Sloan Kettering and the Hospital for Special Surgery. The Huntington Super Runners was the winning men's team. The first women's group to cross the finish line was Fast Feet from Plainview.
And not everyone can run in this weather, and when we come back, we'll talk about what this hot and humid weather is doing to...
...is known for the clock tower and 19th century homes, like the one where Roslyn Savings Bank began serving Long Islanders more than 100 years ago. Today, Roslyn Savings Bank is one of New York State's strongest savings banks, with offices in Roslyn, West Hempstead, Farmingdale, Belmore, and Woodbury. Put the strength of Roslyn Savings Bank behind you. Ask about our low-rate adjustable mortgages Roslyn style with low first-year rate, low APR, and low lifetime cap.
Independent counsel Lawrence Walsh is vowing to move ahead vigorously with his investigation of the Iran-Contra affair. He made the remarks at the American Bar Association conference in San Francisco. Walsh added he will not be deterred by the popularity of some scandal figures, apparently referring to Oliver North. The investigator promises his probe will be a fair one. Walsh says his staff has been gathering evidence through interviews with hundreds of witnesses and reviews of hundreds of thousands of documents. Roger?
And in South Africa, security men at a coal mine fired rubber bullets to chase a crowd described as unruly strikers. 200,000 black miners have begun a walkout at coal and gold mines. They're demanding higher pay and better working conditions, and they've been told to expect a long strike. Coal and gold are South Africa's leading export, and the walkout could cripple that country's economy. A coalition of other unions is warning the government not to interfere with the largest legal strike in South Africa's history or face a general sympathy strike.
It is a space mission that failed. A Soviet satellite that couldn't reach its planned orbit is streaking towards the Earth. It's expected to splash down in the South Pacific about 1,500 miles east of New Zealand. The doomed satellite was loaded with scientific equipment designed to pick up noises from deep space.
An off-duty New York City policeman who had volunteered his time to look for a missing Staten Island girl made a gruesome discovery Sunday. The officer came across the skeletal remains of a missing elderly woman. Police say it was around 1 o'clock in the afternoon when the remains were found in a swampy area of Staten Island. The off-duty sergeant had been searching for 12-year-old Jennifer Schweiger, the young girl with Down syndrome who had disappeared from her home on July 9th, prompting a well-publicized search effort. Police say the skeleton was that of a 74-year-old woman reported missing on July 23rd. Well, now is the time of year when a couple of pleasant days can be followed by a summer's bout with hot and humid weather. And these sudden changes in the weather pattern can cause health problems, especially if you have allergies or asthma. Allison Gilman has a report.
Experts say 5 to 6% of the American population suffers from asthma, a sudden constriction of airways that makes breathing difficult. Asthma is brought on by a variety of things, but few asthmatics die from this condition, only about 2,000 a year in the United States. Asthma attacks reach a peak in the fall, around September, when ragweed fills the air, or in the winter when asthmatics breathe frosty air. But summer can mean trouble too, because of the humidity.
Hot, humid temperatures, people have more problems, although still not as much as an early cold spell. To me, any asthma attack is important because that could be the one that people are going to have, not recover from it.
Dr. Willie says some signs of an impending asthma attack that merit a visit to the doctor are an increased rate of breathing, difficulty breathing, or taking more medication than normal to control asthma. Other warning signals are tightness in the chest or a cough that won't go away. 25-year-old Liz Zanarald is an asthmatic, and she's making sure to take her medication faithfully and watch for warning signals this time of year.
Yeah, days like this does make it a little bit tougher to breathe in. I always carry my inhaler everywhere I go.
Dr. Willie suggests staying indoors early in the morning and early in the evening on humid summer days like this one when there's the greatest concentration of mold spores in the air. Also, notice any changes in the weather. That can trigger asthma attacks. And last, take all asthma medication regularly. And if you notice any changes in the amount you're taking, contact your doctor right away. I'm Allison Gilman reporting for the News Star Network.
And coming up, the surgical technique of the future. I'll be talking to a doctor who's performing nearly bloodless surgery with one of the most advanced medical lasers to date.
I'll trade my dance in Chautauqua for Hal's painting in Albany.
Done.
But you still need music.
Don't forget museums.
Who is that guy?
The pitcher. What's he doing here? Giving the pitch, darling.
Not darling, McDowell. And here's the pitch.
Call for your free I Love New York Celebration of the Arts brochure.
Say, who's winning this game?
When it comes to the arts in New York State, everybody wins.
I run a small company. It's a service business and capital intensive too. My bank knows my business. It's NatWest USA.
To serve small businesses better, one bank has made a commitment to quality. NatWest USA.
In a seasonal business, cash flow is critical. My bank knows that. It's NatWest USA.
My accountant said I need a bank that's committed to small business. He recommended NatWest USA.
NatWest USA. The people and the resources you need today and tomorrow.
More and more families are moving closer and closer to our forests. That's why, if you're careless with fire when you go to the forest, you could burn a lot more than trees.
You don't have to be a visionary to get a sense of the vast strides that have been made in the field of medical technology. One area in particular, laser surgery, has developed in real dramatic fashion. 20 years ago, lasers were somewhere in the realm of science fiction, but now they're standard equipment in many area hospitals. One of the newest lasers on the market is called the Contact YAG laser. It's being used at Hempstead General Hospital, and to explain it further is the hospital's Director of Surgery, Dr. Byron Treitler. Dr. Treitler, thank you for joining us today. I gather you're very high on the Contact YAG laser. What distinguishes it from other laser techniques that are available today?
The lasers before this had to so-called point and shoot. They were ranged between 1/2 centimeter and 1.5 centimeters away from the tissue that was to be cut. This one, you actually touch the tissue and have better control, less tissue destruction, and easier access to handling the tissue when you cut it.
Okay, in English, what are the advantages of laser?
The advantages of laser are less tissue destruction when you are cauterizing. The laser is a light beam that will cauterize and stop bleeding. It will replace in the future electrocautery because there is less tissue destruction when you cauterize.
Okay, when you talk about pain, for example, how does laser compare with the scalpel? Pain and how much time do you spend in the hospital recovering? What are the advantages there?
With less tissue destruction, there will be less pain, there will be less need for extensive anesthesia, the patients will heal faster, the patients will go home quicker.
What types of surgery are performed with the Contact YAG laser?
At the present time, most of the surgery is done endoscopically and in major fields. Endoscopically means through a tube that's entered through a body cavity, such as through the mouth into the breathing tube, or through the mouth into the stomach, or through the rectum into the large intestine, where you can burn tumors, cauterize bleeding points, cauterize ulcers, without the danger of perforating the organ.
You know, I said before that laser's in the realm of science fiction. What's the future for laser? What can we expect to see, let's say, 10 years down the line?
As we increase the proficiency with this contact laser, we will be able to do much in the way of major surgery, such as taking out a portion of the liver, taking out a portion of the pancreas, with less bleeding, less leakage, and less postoperative complications. In the future, this laser is being perfected to be sent on an endoscope into the arteries to the heart and do a removal of the plaques that cause heart attacks.
Is there a chance that, let's say, for example, we can do away with the scalpel before long and replace all surgery with laser beams?
Not for the immediate future. I think that this procedure, as it develops, may, in the distant future, do that. But in the near future, I think that we'll still use the scalpel and still use the old-fashioned techniques for the basic surgical procedures.
Now, Hempstead General Hospital is the only hospital within many miles that have this wonderful new laser technique. Isn't that true?
That's correct. Hempstead General is the only hospital in the metropolitan area that has this particular piece of equipment. Other lasers are available but do not have the features of the contact type of technique. This is a new piece of equipment that's only been on the market for about a year.
Now, being so new, I'd imagine doctors would have to go back to school to learn how to use it. Is that the case?
We are having an in-service teaching program for the medical staff at the hospital, which has followed an in-service teaching program for the nursing staff at the hospital to teach them how to use this piece of equipment without any danger to the patient or to themselves.
How long would that take?
The course is scheduled for next week, and it will be a 2-day course.
Just 2 days. That's a miracle. Well, Dr. Byron Treitler, thank you for joining us, and that's it. Thank you. Back to you, Roger.
Okay, Roma, thanks very much. And when we come back, Alan Gerstel will take us ice skating in August, and Norm Dvoskin will tell Monday morning commuters whether or not they're going to need their windshield wipers. So stay tuned.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state. Immediately after they shall be assembled, in consequences of the first election, they shall be divided as equally as may be into 3 classes. The seats of the senators of the first class shall be vacated at the expiration of the 2nd year, of the 2nd class at the expiration of the 4th year, and of the 3rd class at the expiration of the 6th year, so that 1/3 may be chosen every 2nd year.
Mercedes-Benz, perfection. At Lakeview Auto, we don't settle for anything less. Before your new Mercedes meets the road, every minute detail is checked with our latest computer equipment. And when it's time for service, Lakeview's specially trained service advisors will help to keep your Mercedes running smoothly. The legendary Mercedes-Benz in 10 distinguished models. See one at Lakeview Auto. We only sell the best because we are the best.
Mrs. Davis, it's Bill Nelson from down the hall.
New York Telephone presents the Good Neighbor Call.
The elevator's out today, so I called to see if you needed anything from the store.
New York Telephone's low regional calling rates make it easy to do a good deed.
Are you sure you need a gallon of milk? Oh, right. I forgot about Whiskers and the kittens.
So be friendly and call.
The award-winning Harrison Conference Center, acknowledged by meeting planning professionals as one of the best conference centers in the nation, is the perfect environment for your next meeting. Our executive boardroom is one of 29 specially designed conference rooms for meetings of 5 to 250. Enjoy a challenging game of racquetball or unwind in our new indoor pool and jacuzzi, then relax in one of 200 beautiful guest rooms. Discover Harrison, the first choice of the most prominent companies on Long Island and in the nation.
Maybe someone you know or even love uses cocaine and you still haven't told them how badly you feel about it. Well, there's no more time to look the other way. Cocaine and crack are addictive and they kill. Please, don't be a part of the silent lie that says cocaine's okay. Speak from your heart and help save a life.
Cocaine, the big lie. Call 1-800-662-HELP.
Although most of us spend our leisure summer days at the beach or in a swimming pool, there are those who keep cool by ice skating. And News 12's Alan Gerstel went to Cantioch Park Rink in Hicksville for the Skate Long Island competition.
The rink here at Cantioch Park is the practice home of the New York Islanders. But Sunday, more than 150 youngsters from Long Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, and upstate New York came here to compete in figure skating and freestyle events. The marathon competition began shortly after 8 in the morning and didn't end until after 10 at night. Sure, there were some spills, but it's nice to know that some champions began the same way.
Elaine Zayak started skating in this competition, I would say about 10 years ago, when she was at around the second or third test level. And I'm one of those who had the marvelous pleasure of watching her progression from a young, new skater who eventually became national champion.
The competition is sanctioned by the U.S. Figure Skating Association, and many competitors have set their sights on national competitions and beyond. But like other skills, ice skating must be worked at constantly if an athlete is to be successful. But wouldn't these young skaters rather be at the beach?
I love skating. Why would I want to be on the beach instead of skating? I like doing all the jumps and spins and learning them.
And you'd rather do that than being at the beach?
Yep. I want to go to the beach, but I can't because I have to go ice skating. So.
You don't mind it, though?
No, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I could go to the beach another day.
These young skaters are very serious about their sport, and many of them work at it year-round. But hard work has its advantages, for while the rest of us are sweltering during the dog days of August, no one here is worried about the air conditioning. In Hicksville, Alan Gerstel, News 12, Long Island.
Well, for those of us who don't live in a skating rink, Norm DeVoskin's here to say that humid, hazy weather is on its way out of here.
Yeah, it's moving along. And, you know, summer rain reminds me of a bottle of ketchup. You know, first you're annoyed because you don't get any, and then all of a sudden you get too much. You know, we've really been getting a lot of summer rain, and that's what we have around Long Island right now. That summer rain is moving along. There's a low-pressure system moving out from the west towards the Atlantic. It has a warm front and a cold front, and there are lots of showers around. And if we take a look at the satellite photo, you can see all of that moisture around the northeast. Now, this is what I'm talking about. We have a band of clouds covering the entire northeast due to a warm front, and there's a low-pressure system associated with that front that's moving off to the east. All of this moisture down towards the southwest is part of a cold front that is also part of that low-pressure system, also moving off to the east. Now, if you look behind that system, you can see lots of clear sky and dry air out to the west. There's a few low clouds, but there's really nothing to worry about. So once that system moves off to the east, we'll have clear skies Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So the weather picture looks pretty good. And here's a surface map on Saturday. You can see the low pressure system that I was just talking about. This is the warm front pushing up to the northeast with a lot of showers and thunderstorms in front of it. The high pressure system that was holding that system to our south is also moving into the Atlantic, letting this system move off to the east. And there's that cold front out towards the west, moving off towards the Atlantic. By Monday, that system will be out over the Atlantic, taking all of the showers and thunderstorms with it. So here's the good news. High pressure behind it with lots of cool, dry Canadian air. I say cool, but it really will be some more or less seasonable temperatures. This is the system that we're talking about moving off to the east. For your morning drive tomorrow, you'll have a sunrise of 6:01 a.m. The weather should be rainy around Long Island. Temperatures running from 65 to 70 degrees, and the roads will be wet in those areas where there will be showers. Around Long Island, tomorrow afternoon, we'll have partly cloudy skies over most of the island with gradual clearing from west to east. If you're in eastern Long Island, there's a very good chance you'll see very little of the sun because the clearing will be moving in this direction. Winds on the water will be out of the northeast at 10 to 15 knots. For eastern Long Island, temperatures will be running 75 to 77 degrees, about 80 in central Long Island, about 80 to 83 western portions. The beach index on a scale of 10 will be 7, and the water temperatures running from 71 to 73 degrees. The 5-day forecast will call for sunny skies on Tuesday, 84, Wednesday and Thursday fair, mid-80s, Friday sun and a return to some clouds, 86 degrees. So it looks like once we get past this miserable weather tonight, Monday morning looks like we'll have some clearing. Roger?
Good weather is just around the corner. Thanks very much, Norm DeVoskin. And when we come back, Mike Zimmett and a bizarre boxing match. So stay with us. News 12 Long Island continues right after this.
A college man, I got me a college man.
But, Mom, we can't afford college.
Nonsense. You worked hard to get accepted, so I'll get you on that bus somehow.
The United Negro College Fund has helped thousands of students, but the fact is, the job's not done. There are thousands we can't reach, not without the funds. So support the United Negro College Fund.
Please volunteer for the American Red Cross.
The Tri-County Flea Market's Jewelry Exchange, Long Island's largest jewelry exchange, home to over 50 expert jewelers with $15 million in inventory, located on Hempstead Turnpike in Levittown. Low prices on diamonds, pearls, precious gems, gold, and silver. Custom-made orders, all with their famous 7-day money-back guarantee. The Tri-County Jewelry Exchange. Our jewelry speaks for itself.
When you graduate from college, what will you be able to offer an employer?
I like working with people. I really like working with people. I really like people.
I'm a people person.
I'm eager. I'm eager.
Eager. I think I'm eager.
And I was president of
Offer an employer something meaningful, practical work experience. A nationwide college program called Co-op Education can give you that competitive edge.
And I'd even relocate.
Right, Co-op Education. It's the experience you need for the job you want.
How badly can a person get hurt in a boxing match? Well, IBF junior lightweight champ Barry Michael was so battered in his title fight with American Rocky Lockridge in England, Michael failed to answer the bell for the 9th round. He suffered a broken nose and a broken eardrum, and right after the match, he announced his retirement from boxing. Now, the damage began in the 1st round. Lockridge in the burgundy and gold connects on the left hook. It broke Michael's nose. And in the 2nd round, this time it is Michael's eardrum. Watch the punch, and that did it to his ear. And Lockridge just continued to pummel his opponent. Michael had to call it quits after 8. So Rocky Lockridge, the new IBF junior lightweight champion. And Lockridge is now 41-5. And the fight, get this, was postponed for nearly an hour because somebody phoned a bomb threat to the arena. No bomb was found except in Lockridge's fist. And a question, can anybody beat undisputed heavyweight champ Mike Tyson? Well, if a three-time champ Muhammad Ali were in his prime, could Ali beat Tyson? I posed that question to famed fight referee and Garden City resident Arthur Mercanti a few days ago.
Well, I kind of think that Ali has the style, the only style that could defeat Tyson. Tyson right now will hold on to that title for a long time. But if they had an Ali type who could jab and step to the side, lateral motion, and come across with a right cross, footwork, stay away from Tyson, stay away from on the inside, because that's what Tyson loves, to get a fighter on the inside, and then he can annihilate you because he's so powerful.
Interesting point. That's sports. Here's Roger.
Okay, thanks very much, Mike Zimmet. The longest-running show in Broadway history has hit yet another milestone. A chorus line played its 5,000th performance Saturday night, and the final curtain is still not in sight. And Monday night's performance will be important as well. That performance will be dedicated to Michael Bennett, the director and choreographer of A Chorus Line, who died in early July as a result of AIDS. And Roma, that was the longest-running Broadway show. The longest-running show of all times is?
It still is A Chorus Line.
The Fantastics.
Oh, well, that's off-Broadway.
That was the question.
All right, you got it. Everyone seems to be singing the rejuvenated Latin American hit La Bamba, but as reporter Beth Campbell found out, it's a chosen few who really know the words.
Everyone knows La Bamba, right? Well, listen to this.
La ba 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 ba, something like that.
La 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 bamba.
bum 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 bum.
No, that's not the way it goes. True, it's a Spanish song, but we can do better than that, and we actually found a group from Latin America who knows how it should go.
Bamba, bamba, yo no soy marinero. Yo no soy marinero, soy capitán.
But what are these folks singing? So now we know the Spanish version, while most folks don't. But what does it mean in English? Well, some people think it's about a car, an old car, you know, a bomb. But it isn't. Okay, maybe you can't do it the justice it deserves, but the next time you find yourself humming La Bamba, at least you'll know what you're humming about. Beth Campbell reporting for the New Star Network.
And if you don't know it, mumble it. There'll be a 100th anniversary party for an award-winning newspaper on Monday, but the editorial staff won't be going out to dinner to celebrate. The reason? The staffers are all in jail. The staff is comprised of 2 murderers, a rapist, and a robber. The newspaper they edit is the Prison Times, and it is quite a history. The first issue, published in 1887, was put out by members of the James Gang. And Roma, maybe that's why many people don't trust the press. Anyway, that's our news to now. I'm Roger Stern.
And I'm Roma Torre. Stay tuned as more news continues. Good night.
Announcing nothing in factory financing, 0%. Available on new Renault GTA and Alliance models. Or get $500 cash back. Announcing 0% factory financing on selected new Jeep Comanches. Or get up to $1,000 cash back. You can use the cash as a down payment.
Renault Jeep Performers.
See your New York, New Jersey, Connecticut Renault Jeep Performers. The right guys.
Gee, my life sure is great. My mom and dad love me, and I have all this great stuff from Kalinsky's. You see, Mom and Dad were Kalinsky babies, so now I'm a Kalinsky baby too. That means I can choose from the finest quality cradles, bassinets, plus a whole lot more. And with over 70 years of experience, Kalinsky's is the only place to go for all your baby's needs. I just wish they had puppies.
Kalinsky's, where happy babies come from.
The Weather Channel to make the most of every day. I can trust the Weather Channel. I turn it on for work or play. We've got our heads up in the clouds to keep you covered on the ground. Hot or cold, clear blue skies. Turn to us, we're weather-wise. Weather when I want it, with a smile. Weather when I need it, that's my style. Weather in the morning, start your day. Plan your weekend, get away. Watch the weather, lows or highs. Tomorrow's outlook, no surprise. We'll help you plan the week ahead. Whether to go, rain or snow. I need it. The Weather Channel to watch the weather all day through. You need us, the Weather Channel, for everything you do.
News for and about the people of Long Island. 24 hours every day. News from Breakneck to Montauk. News 12, Long Island.
Hello, everybody. I'm Roger Stern, and these stories are happening on Long Island. Another fast food restaurant is robbed. This time it's a Sizzler in Wantagh. And some heavy cuts in federal funding are in store for an environmental study of the Long Island Sound. We'll have a report.
And hello, everybody. I'm Roma Torrey, in for Marilyn Scherer. Also in the News 12 headlines, convenience stores in Long Beach will now have to close down by 11 at night, the result of an ordinance passed by the City Council. And some young ice skaters sharpen their skills and show their stuff at a competition in Hicksville. We've got those stories, plus Mike Zimmett and Sunday Sports, as well as Norm Dvoskin and the weather forecast as we head back to work.
And topping our news this hour, Nassau and Suffolk detectives already investigating a possible connection between several fast food holdups now have another robbery to look into. An unlocked back door to the Sizzler restaurant in Wantagh provided the opportunity Sunday morning as workers were getting ready to open for business. Our Susan Watson spoke with an unidentified worker about what happened.
Two guys just came in and they put a gun to one of the cook's head, and he said, "This is a stick-up." And I was just, at first I thought it was a joke. I thought they were just fooling around. Then they said, "This is serious." And then they had to sit down on the floor. And then he went and took the manager and got the money. And they left.
The Sizzler holdup is one of 9 in western Suffolk and eastern Nassau counties recently. In Sunday's crime, the robbers netted some $2,000. Among the others, Wendy's in East Farmingdale, Arby's Roast Beef in Huntington Station, and Kentucky Fried Chicken in Huntington. In each case, 2 young black males, one with a handgun, entered the restaurants and forced workers to hand over money from the safe and the cash register. In several cases, workers were injured. One difference between Sunday's robbery at the Sizzler and all the others is the time of day. Only the Sizzler was robbed in the morning. The others were held up at night. Nassau County Detective John Fitzgibbon is investigating the Sizzler stick-up.
We're interviewing our witnesses. They are talking with our police artists, and we will have composites of the perpetrators shortly.
Nassau County Police say they will work with Suffolk County to determine if any or all of the cases are connected. In Wantagh, Susan Watson, News 12 Long Island.
The 3 Brooklyn men arrested in connection with the shooting death of a Hempstead man were arraigned Sunday. Thomas Muniz and Victor Roman were charged with second-degree murder in the death of Henry Oliva outside Speaks, an Island Park dance club. A third man, Raymond Torres, was charged with reckless endangerment. The 3 suspects reportedly had an argument with a group of Oliva's friends. Police say Oliva was attempting to be the peacemaker when he was fatally shot. Because of all the driving Long Islanders do, the stories of the Los Angeles freeway shootings have held a special fascination for us. And on Saturday evening in Plandome, 2 motorists may have believed the West Coast violence had moved east. The 2 drivers were hit by pellets from a BB gun as they were driving on Plandome Road. Fortunately, this incident does not seem to be a copy of the LA freeway violence. Nassau police have made 2 arrests, 17-year-old Douglas Hamilton and 18-year-old Sean O'Connor, both of Manhasset. The 2 were charged with reckless endangerment and criminal mischief. Neither motorist was seriously injured.
And for those of you who live in Long Beach, if you have a late-night case of the munchies, you won't be able to walk to a convenience store near your home to satisfy your taste buds. News 12's Alan Gristel's here now to tell us why. Alan?
Roger, the Long Beach City Council has passed an ordinance forcing so-called convenience stores to close between the hours of 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. Stores must close during those hours or face fines of up to $250 a day. City officials say they don't want to hurt anyone's business. They are only responding to complaints from local residents.
Situated on Long Beach Boulevard in the heart of the city, this 7-Eleven is a prime target of the new ordinance. According to City Manager Ed Eaton, most of Long Beach's convenience stores abut residential neighborhoods.
We've received a number of complaints over the years, and most recently in the recent months, from residential people asking that we do something to shut the stores down at a more reasonable hour so they can get a decent night's sleep and with minimum impact on the neighborhood.
The complaints from neighbors are over noise, loitering, and even dancing in the wee hours of the morning. And according to Eaton, there also have been violent crimes.
But we find that there are certain pockets where we have constant police problems, constant demands upon the police, constant impacts upon the neighbors, and many of them gravitated around a few convenience stores.
The city manager said the ordinance applies to about 15 convenience stores in the city, and while most close at midnight or 1 a.m., only the 7-Eleven here remains open 24 hours a day. Now, the Chamber of Commerce has voiced its opposition to the ordinance, and the manager of a convenience store in the west end of Long Beach told me he shouldn't have to be penalized for problems that don't occur in his neighborhood.
I consider the store to be a boon to this area of town, and I don't think our patrons would enjoy the place closing a couple hours early merely because somebody in another part of town might be having trouble with their store.
Although only open 8 weeks, Givers says there have been no problems with drinking or rowdiness at his store. And he corrected me when I referred to Milk and More as a convenience store.
It's a food store. And because it may not be as big as, let's say, a supermarket in the middle of town, it still serves food. And I think if they're prepared to close me, they have to be prepared to close a big supermarket in the middle of town, which I don't think they're going to want to do.
Now, Givers also offered this analogy. He said, if a car is speeding through town, you give that car a ticket. You don't ticket every car driving along the street. And he said he considers the ordinance unconstitutional and that the store's attorneys are looking into the matter. Roma, Roger?
I guess if these convenience stores want to go to court to challenge this law, they better do it quickly.
I would think so. It seems that they're going to put it into effect tomorrow, and according to Givers, he says for now at least they're going to comply until they get word from their attorney otherwise.
I bet you whatever convenience store is closest to the city but outside the borders is going to do one heck of a business.
Extremely well, I would imagine.
Alan Gerstel, thanks very much.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Alan. New York Mayor Ed Koch was released from the hospital Sunday and promised he would go on a diet. Joking with reporters, Koch said, "What you see here is a 28-year-old brain and a 62-year-old body, and he wants to make those numbers closer." The mayor suffered a very mild stroke on Thursday, but doctors say his overall health is excellent. Roger?
Pope John Paul is not going to be visiting our area after all during his 10-day trip to the United States next month. John Paul has decided not to address the UN General Assembly. He said a stopover in New York City would require extensive planning and additional events in the Archdiocese of John Cardinal O'Connor. The Pope will pass through 9 cities on his tour that begins on September 10th. And still ahead on News 12 Long Island, the island weather forecast. Norm DeVoskin's going to let us know what's in store for the coming week, so there's more to come. Stay with us.
The all-new Chrysler LeBaron. Beauty with a passion for driving now has a passion for savings. With 3.7 financing or $500 cash back. With popular equipment discount packages that can save you $400 more. You can save $900 on the beautiful new Chrysler LeBaron. And you get Chrysler's 770 protection plan. Drive with the pride. Drive into your Chrysler Plymouth dealer today.
Round-the-clock service. Lilco has introduced this new service to respond to our customers' needs.
Good evening, Lilco. May I help you?
Now you can call Lilco anytime, day or night, 7 days a week, to arrange for service, discuss your bill, and of course, to report emergencies. Lilco is ready to serve you anytime, day or night.
Lilco, we're listening. We care. We're working harder to serve you better.
Every week, the Long Island Merchandise Mart comes alive. It's a shopping mall with flea market prices. Truly a shopper's paradise, our refreshment areas and food court make this shopper's paradise complete. Come celebrate our 2nd anniversary of the Sayville Mart and the grand opening of our new West Islip location on Sunrise Highway at Udall Road. The Long Island Merchandise Mart. 2 great locations to serve Long Island shoppers better.
A college man. I got me a college man.
But, Mom, we can't afford college.
Nonsense. You worked hard to get accepted, so I'll get you on that bus somehow.
The United Negro College Fund has helped thousands of students, but the fact is, the job's not done. There are thousands we can't reach, not without the funds. So support the United Negro College Fund.
For For the first time, the United States is accusing Iran of planting mines outside Kuwait Harbor. Defense Secretary Weinberger says U.S. forces have destroyed a number of mines, and he promises to keep the waterways safe. The latest convoy of Kuwaiti tankers and U.S. Navy escorts is passing through the Persian Gulf, scheduled to reach Kuwait Harbor sometime Monday. A supertanker in an earlier convoy was hit by a mine planted in the waters off an island controlled by Iranians and was heavily damaged. Iran's prime minister says the Gulf will continue to be mined until the United States and other foreign powers leave the area.
And Roma, the crisis in the Persian Gulf is starting to hurt Americans in their pocketbooks. The price of gasoline is rising as a direct result of higher crude oil prices. The price of a barrel of oil has skyrocketed recently because it is thought many speculators feel a U.S.-Iran confrontation will lead to a choking off of much of the world's oil supply. How much more does it cost to fill up your tank now? Well, according to the Lundberg survey, a leading gasoline trade newsletter, the average price of a gallon of gas is now $1.02. That's up a penny in the past 2 weeks.
6 lives were taken in minutes of madness. It happened in Melbourne, Australia. A man who appeared drunk put on military-style clothing, took a shotgun and rifle, and headed outside. He started shooting at random, and by the time police overpowered him, the 6 victims were dead, and 16 others rushed to the hospital with bullet wounds. Investigators don't know what made him snap without warning. Roger. 2 bombs blew up in central Londonderry, Northern Ireland Sunday, injuring several people. The bombings followed a weekend of violence in Belfast, where Molotov cocktails and homemade hand grenades were tossed at police cars and stations, protesting a now-abandoned policy by the British government of interning suspected terrorists in the north. Sunday marked the 16th anniversary of the now-defunct policy, which was ended 4 years after its induction due to international criticism. The policy was directed at the Irish Republican Army, and they demonstrate at this time every year. Upstate Congressman Joseph Diaguardi is calling a proposal to cut back EPA funding for a study of Long Island Sound penny wise and sound foolish. News 12's Lee Tyrell spoke with one Long Island official who agrees and says the outcome of that study could have a serious effect on the quality of life here on Long Island.
The summer of '87 has been a rough one for the waters of the Long Island Sound, with fish kills, algae growth, sewage spills, and high bacteria levels. Since 1985, the Environmental Protection Agency has been studying the Sound to determine whether its delicate balance has been upset by nature or by man. Now a proposed funding cut by the Reagan administration from $2.5 million down to $950,000 is seriously threatening the continuation of research that Suffolk County legislator Stephen Engelbright says is absolutely necessary for the future of the Sound.
To cut back 60% of the funds during the time that we should be increasing the funds is an outrage. And it is a threat, really, to the quality of life of every resident of Connecticut and Long Island.
Engelbright says the Long Island Sound is in a state of crisis, and the only way to find out what's causing all the problems is research, and that research needs funding.
This requires investing into research vessels that will cruise the Sound and put the current meters into the water and test on a seasonal basis over at least 1 or 2 complete yearly cycles to see what the patterns of behavior of this inland sea of sorts is all about.
Research has already concluded that the Sound is suffering from 2 major problems: low amounts of dissolved oxygen in the water and the presence of toxic organic chemicals and metals. Engelbright says the funding cutbacks are perhaps the most frustrating for the scientists involved in the research.
As scientists, they deal in logic, and this is not logical, and they tend to become a little cynical, perhaps, of the political process. But as the famous American scholar Yogi Berra says, it ain't over till it's over, and the political process is ongoing, and I think with a little bit of expressed indignation and concern that we may see some changes.
And along that line, he plans to introduce a resolution this week that will express some of those concerns. In Setauket, Lee Tyrell, News 12, Long Island.
Well, it's time now for the weather with Norm Dvoskin. And Norm, I felt a few sprinkles coming back from dinner. Does that mean rain is back in the forecast?
Yes, rain is in the forecast. There's lots of scattered showers around Long Island, and we have to get through a period of some pretty damp weather
early Monday morning, and then it'll be slow clearing around Long Island from west to east, and the weather looks good for most of the week. But, you know, Sunday was kind of a gloomy day with a lot of scattered showers, and temperatures were a little bit cooler than normal. Now, so these are some of the high temperatures on Sunday around Long Island. We have two Long Island Weather Observer Association reporters. This is Ed Lint in Mineola, had a high of 82. Brian Hennigan in Massapequa had a high of 80. Those are the Long Island Weather Observer Association members. We had a high of 78 in Farmingdale, Islip 80, 77 in Suffolk County, and 77 that's Montauk Point. So temperatures were a little bit cooler than normal. The satellite photo of the tropical Atlantic, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Caribbean shows lots of clouds over Cuba, Hispaniola, but there's lots of clear sky over most of the tropical Atlantic, and the Gulf of Mexico looks pretty good. Now, if you look here towards the west of the Gulf, the western portion of the Gulf, there is a tropical depression. It's not quite a tropical storm yet, so it doesn't have a name. That could develop into our first named storm of the year, which will be Arlene. So it's been pretty quiet so far this year, the hurricane season of 1987. Lots of